Okay, imagine for a second that there's a single blueprint for balance. I mean, a formula that actually connects the physics of the entire cosmos, the design of our cities, and, get this, the very structure of your own consciousness. Well, that's the incredibly ambitious theory we're jumping into today.
So let's just kick things off with a pretty wild question. What if that sense of balance you're always looking for in life? What if it wasn't just some vague, subjective feeling, but an active, measurable, universal formula? That is the core claim we are unpacking right now.
To really get what this theory is about, we have to first, completely tear down and rebuild our idea of what balance even is.
See, the theory basically says we've got balance all wrong. It's not about being perfectly still, like a statue. Not at all. It's an ongoing, dynamic process, a constant give and take that it calls a rhythm of reciprocity. So yeah, think of it less like a rock and more like a perfectly sustained dance. Okay, so if balance is a rhythm, how on earth do you measure it? Well, that question brings us right to the mathematical heart of the whole theory.
And here it is. This is the core of everything, the Atlas T equation. Now, I know it looks a little intimidating, but it's really just a recipe. It says that true balance, which is T, is just the product of three key ingredients: P for proportion, kappa, that's the Greek letter kappa, for phase, and R for resonance. Let's break down what those actually mean in plain English.
Let's make this super simple with a marathon analogy. First up, you need proportion, or P. That's your optimal design, your ideal stride length for your body. Next, you've got phase, K. That's your rhythm, your pacing. You go too fast, you burn out. Too slow, you're inefficient. Finally, you need resonance, R. That's your sustained energy, that stable output that keeps you going and prevents you from just collapsing. So when your design, your rhythm, and your energy are all perfectly in sync, you get T, a perfectly balanced, sustainable run.
So we have this universal equation for balance, but here's where the theory claims something truly wild. It says this isn't just for physics. It applies on the most personal scale you can imagine, right inside the human mind.
The idea here is that our entire cognitive and emotional world is built from just four fundamental geometric shapes, what the theory calls primitives. The triangle, that represents clarity, that focused attention. The circle stands for connection and empathy. The square gives us stability and structure, think executive functions. And the spiral, well, that embodies growth, learning, and our ability to adapt.
So, what's the point of all this? The ultimate goal is to use these geometric shapes almost like a mental language. A language that can help us harmonize the two main ways our brain operates. That wandering mind that daydreams and reflects, and the focused mind that really buckles down and gets things done. By balancing these two, the theory suggests we can get to a state of real emotional and mental coherence. Okay, now let's pull the camera way, way back. Because the theory claims this exact same blueprint for balance scales up from our internal mental world to the huge physical structures that surround us every day.
And this is where it gets so cool. The theory actually maps the variables from our equation directly onto three iconic architectural forms. So think about the pyramid. Its perfect geometric shape is the physical embodiment of proportion, or P. Now consider a ziggurat. Its terraced steps climbing upward represent the calibrated rhythm of phase, kappa. And finally, the dome, with its incredible ability to hold and amplify sound, embodies that shared, sustained energy of resonance, or R.
And this way of thinking, it doesn't just stop with single buildings. It scales up to this whole vision for urban planning. A living ratio city, as it's called, would use principles like the golden ratio and Fibonacci sequences to design literally everything, from circular transit systems to fractal-shaped green spaces. And the goal isn't just to look pretty, it's to build entire cities that are in harmony with natural rhythms, using architecture itself as a tool for our collective peace and well-being.
All right, we've gone from marathons to the mind to entire cities. This final section is what pulls it all together. And it does it with a connection that is, well, it's truly unexpected.
Okay, get ready for this, because it is pretty mind-bending. On the left, you see the theory's Fibonacci seal, a pattern that it claims maps the fundamental geometry of growth and resonance in living things. On the right, that's a Smith chart. It's a very real tool that radio engineers use to find the perfect balance for transmitting energy waves, like radio signals, without losing any power. I mean, the visual parallel is just stunning.
And that leads us to this incredibly powerful quote from the source material. The medium is different. One is consciousness, the other is electromagnetic waves. But the theory claims that the underlying geometry you need to achieve that stable, resonant balance is exactly the same. So when you put it all together, what does this all mean? Crippin's theory is proposing a single, unifying rhythm, a measurable formula for coherence, that, it claims, is the invisible thread connecting the structure of atoms, the feeling of empathy in your heart, and the very design of the world around us.
Which brings us Grant's cosmic theory all the way back home, right back to you. It leaves us with one final and I think really powerful thought. If balance really is a rhythm that's governed by geometry, what pattern defines the most coherent, the most resonant rhythm in your own life? That just might be a pattern worth looking for.